is at Bridgerton Netflix changing this series so much. It feels like this original story is being lost. I'm also tired of same-sex relationships being forced into stories where they weren't originally part of the narrative. I don't have any prejudice, but changing a book and the history of that time, everything has its limits, and many viewers are becoming discouraged. So disappointing. I love Francesca. Her storyline was the best. You ruined it.
Please, don't turn beautiful friendship into something else.
That's enough. We want Eloise. This season
on.
will be a waste of time and zero respect for the books. Enough of forced inclusion.
I'll skip
Justice
this
for
Thanks,
Michael.
Netflix.
You
No,
damn
skip
it,
the
skip it.
series.
I'll have
Not
to
I'm
skip
sorry,
it.
but
I want
this
Michael.
ruins
Ruin
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton.
Ruin
I'm not
everything.
going to watch
I
this
will
season.
see
This
this
is
Michael.
Michael. Not Michaela.
Why do they
I'm
have
not
to
watching
force
Sapphic
sapphic
romance
romance
in
in
this
this
story?
story?
With all due
The
respect.
mentally
I don't
ill
watch
one
this
again.
season.
Why?
So disgusting.
Why?
That was a lot. Hey, hi, hello. My name is Anarchy, and welcome to my YouTube channel, where I talk about and do whatever the hell I want. And so today we're talking about Bridgerton, even though I've never seen a single episode. But do not throw my opinion in the dump, because I am a lesbian who's obsessed with queer media. And I have a ton of friends who are bisexual and very excited for this next season. But I wanted to analyze this show and this controversy from an outsider's perspective. So if you don't want that and you want someone who's like really informed about the show to talk about it, you're going to get someone who's more interested in the reaction to this controversy, what it says about our media landscape. And I'm someone who's very interested in like how queerness, sapphicness is portrayed and what gets to be mainstream. I also need to come into this saying I'm actually not a big romance person. Yes, I'm a lesbian and I enjoy romance in most of the media I consume, but I don't like straight romance. And I don't like straight romance in both senses of the word straight, I guess. I need there to be something else. Listen, if I'm gonna watch a queer storyline, I, like the angry commenters, prefer to see queer suffering. Like, I just want to watch lesbians, like, tear the throats out of, like, people. Something is fundamentally wrong with me, and today is not that time. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bridgerton of it all.
Hi, I forgot to explain what was going on. So if you don't know, Bridgerton is a popular Netflix series set in romantic era England, but sort of like fantasy romantic era England. It's not trying to be historically accurate. It's just trying to have pretty costumes and high society drama. Each season follows one of the Bridgerton siblings as they fall in love. They're based off of a successful book series by the same like name. The controversy is that this new season that's went into production is going to be between two women, and they've gender swapped one of the characters in the book to be a woman so that we can have a sapphic storyline, and people are very upset about that. So that's what's going on.
I at first didn't know that anyone was mad about this, because when the character Michaela was introduced, immediately all my friends were like, oh my god, this is gonna be Francesca's love interest. We're so excited. She's bisexual. We love, love, love this. That, you know, I was excited for them. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing a sapphic relationship. I love that. Especially in a popular franchise. We know that Netflix likes to throw queer representation in wherever it can and then cancel queer shows. That's kind of Netflix's motto. They do have a hold on queer content, I think, out of most streaming services, instead of the smaller ones that are catered to gay people, or like Dropout, where everything is just gay by the nature of there's gay people in every show. Netflix really has like a grasp on like the queer community. It keeps canceling our shows, but as someone who has to write about queer media for my job, if I need to look for something, the best place for me to go is always Netflix. I wasn't surprised by this change, but it seems like a bunch of people in these comments were. Also, we can't ignore that some of these people are probably trolls and people who just want to stir shit because that makes them feel better. But I do think it speaks to the fact that the queer people who are surprised by this reaction, me included, live in a bubble online where we think people are more accepting of queer stories and queer things than they actually are, right? Like, there's still a lot of hatred towards us and of being in these specific spaces, and particularly when it comes to sapphic storylines, which you are going to see people talk about a lot. A lot of people go, well, you all liked Heated Rivalry and you're not excited for this. And to me, that's the most obvious thing in the world. One of my issues with Heated Rivalry was people saying, well, lesbians already have their Heated Rivalry because women's hockey is already so gay. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not seeing them fuck on my screen. To me, the show, Bridgerton, at any period piece that has sex and drama is always going to be targeted to straight women. Like, that is the audience that it's trying to capture. I don't think Bridgerton is ever going to try to capture the love and imagination of a straight man, right? And as we all know, lesbians are for straight men. We'll get to that in a second. I would have fully expected and not been shocked if they made it gay men, right? Because straight women are still going to tune in to watch gay men fuck. And I wonder if straight women would be as upset because they still, like, the point of this, right, is like the titillation of it. You project yourself onto the female character and then you like get to ogle like the men. You get men desiring women and going crazy for women, and like you get to get lost in this fantasy of like a man desiring you through the story. Like, and maybe it's not you, but it's like that feeling of love and expression. Like, that is something that draws people into these romances. And so some people really do like gay romance because they don't feel like their gender and their experience as a woman is being projected on the romance storyline, so they can enjoy it without feeling sexualized, right? When you have two lesbians, like, what is there for straight people?
So something really fun about not scripting this video is I have to explain myself. You can watch a film without, or a TV show without projecting onto the character or like feeling like you have to project onto the love interest. Like, I know that bisexuals and lesbians also do get a kick out of Bridgerton because there are multiple ways to watch it, and also the women are really hot, but there's a different mode of like projection there, if there is projection. Like, I know a lot of people just like drama in the romance storyline, but I am interested here in the way that these stories are made for women to project on the female protagonist in a specific way. Like, that, you know, they're supposed to identify with them. How an individual viewer goes about watching it, that's their own thing. I'm talking about spectatorship, like the ideal imagined viewer is more what I'm getting at, which sounds pretentious because it is. But yeah, no, everyone can watch this in their own way. What I'm saying is it's made for this specific type of fantasy. That doesn't mean that you yourself have to engage with the fantasy in the way that it's typically made for. You know what I mean?
I'm always excited when queer people get a big storyline. I also think it's really important that Michaela is a Black woman who's going to be in like a sapphic relationship, because that is not that common, especially in a period piece. If you want a Black lesbian storyline, you have to go to indie projects. And this is where I tell everyone to watch Watermelon Woman, one of the best movies of all time, for what it says about looking for representation as a queer woman in your media when it's not there, specifically looking for representation as a Black queer woman in media when it's not there. I think it's really interesting that Bridgerton decided to make the sapphic. We do have a hold on the historical romance genre, I think, because there's danger to it. It's a genre that requires both women to be sort of demure, and it's way easier to make both of them feminine. I am surprised that Bridgerton did this, but I think Bridgerton realizes a lot of lesbians and sapphics are still women. Not all of us are. That's a conversation for later.
Ignore my blanket. I'm cold. What I failed to articulate is that I think Bridgerton realized, or Netflix realized, that they do have a sapphic audience that likes these romance tropes, and there's also an untapped potential of an audience of sapphics who like the same tropes and things that straight women like, and they would like it even more if those tropes and things were happening in a sapphic relationship. So it's a way to capitalize on an audience that people fail to capitalize on.
Bridgerton has to make lesbians for women because the show, the primary audience is women. It can't make lesbians for men, which is what a lot of other media likes to do. It's this interesting thing that I'm very excited to see how it develops, and I might watch the season just as someone who's very interested in lesbian media. But I also have to point out, and this is something that I've been thinking about a lot, I think it makes more sense that Francesca is the one that is sapphic rather than Eloise. I know a lot of people are like, well, why wasn't Eloise the lesbian? Eloise already hates men, and she has, look at this friendship she has. Francesca is demure and quiet. Why is she the bisexual one? And to me, it makes perfect sense that she is, because Eloise could never be the lesbian. This is a piece of mainstream media. It can't be her. And what do I mean by that? Mainstream media is made in a patriarchal image. So nothing is going to challenge the structures of gender past baseline feminism and Obama-era neoliberalism. We are going to have interracial relationships. We can have queer people. We can have feminist takes, but we can't ever take it to a really radical place without dissolving what is there. And this is like a fantasy version of romantic era England. Bridgerton, to actually invest and talk about politics, would destroy the fantasy that it is set out to create. So we cannot really challenge patriarchal structures, even if we can pretend we can. And therefore, Eloise cannot be a lesbian because men have to send her in her life. She's going to have to learn it is a childish folly to be like, ugh, men. And she'll learn eventually and become like a true woman. Francesca, to me, is more able to be bisexual, to be sapphic, because she is so womanly. She's quiet, she's respectful, she's very pretty, and she doesn't seem to hate the men around her. So she's not decentering them in their life. In fact, she had this great love who was a man. By the way, bisexuals can live as bisexuals without centering men in their lives. I've seen it happen. It's possible. But Francesca is, to me, the character you would want to make sapphic, because in every other way she portrays stereotypical femininity, right? And this is just from me looking at her. There's probably nuances there, but I don't imagine there's anything really radical past that. Now, I'm not saying that femininity is inherently something we do for men. There are lots of femme lesbians out there. In fact, it's much more nuanced than that. Chrissy Chilpecca and Chappell Roan are both lesbian femme pop stars that I don't think anything in their aesthetic is for men. But I think when we're choosing to portray lesbians in a mainstream context and they're the main character, if you look across the board, most of the times that character is going to be more feminine than they are to be masculine. And obviously you get a weird thing with the lesbian mean girl who is feminine but in a way that is not desirable, but that's because she's wielding her femininity as a power, and to make her a lesbian is to take away some of her power by saying like, look, this is why she's doing it. I can't get into it right now. Like, there's a whole video essay about this idea that we don't have time for because I want this video to be short. And I'm not mad that Francesca is sapphic. I think this is very cute. I think this is awesome. I think this is cool. I just want to point out that it makes sense to me why she would be the sapphic one, and to always be critical of the way we're engaging in media, because I saw people praising like, I'm so happy the feminine demure one is the one who's sapphic. Like, lots of us queer women are femme. I have to point it out because the odds of seeing a character who doesn't like men is completely has them decentered from their lives in like a mainstream project, and have them be a lesbian and have them play around with gender and not be feminine in a way that is acceptable for mainstream society. I think having a feminine sapphic person in a mainstream piece of media is to show that lesbians, sapphics, bisexuals, they're just like us, right? There's nothing breaking of the gender binary besides a person that they're interested in. And so even though it's a swing, and I admire Bridgerton for this swing, because picking to have sapphic leads in a show that to me is very marketed towards straight women is an interesting shift. And so I would understand why you would want to do the sapphics, they're just like us kind of deal. And so to have a character who is like pretty gender standard in every way except for the person that she's going to be into in this upcoming season makes a lot of sense to me. That doesn't get rid of the radicalness of this. You know, like when you get so into the gender theory well and like the socialist politique of it all that you forget that most people aren't fucking thinking about this, and they're just like, I cannot believe that they would do this to her. Like, she's so not a lesbian. Well, yes, because she's bisexual. But the point is that she's so not queer. And that doesn't mean anything is bad or that Netflix did something wrong. It's just something that I think we should think about in our media. I think a lot of people aren't going to like this take, and I wish I could explain it more. I'm working on a video about lesbian mean girls, but I'm like transferring very dense academic text to it, so it's gonna take me a minute, but I hope you all enjoyed my thoughts. I feel like because this and the Sabrina Carpenter video makes it seem like I hate femme women, and it's like I am not mad in the slightest about what is gonna be on our television screens. I need you to know that. So I hope this made sense, and I hope this kind of makes you think about the content you're consuming. And congratulations, all sapphics who like Bridgerton. I'm really excited for you. Congratulations, all sapphics who like romance stories. I think that this will be a good one. And congratulations to anyone who just likes to look at pretty girls kissing. And sometimes when they were a teenager, they used to look at that on Tumblr to make themselves feel something. I'm one of you. And I'm happy about this. I'm genuinely happy about this. And I think the people who hate this need to get over themselves, because every other piece of media is for them. And we're not infiltrating. Netflix just knows that it can maybe reach a bigger audience this way. Because I might tune in. And I've never tuned into a season before. So yeah, this is kind of Netflix's shtick. They like to have a bit of queer representation here and there. Nothing truly groundbreaking. Although this, I think, pushes it because of who the audience was originally for. But I'm optimistic about this, actually. And I'm happy that it's happening. I think it's cool. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Please subscribe or unsubscribe. However, you have to subscribe before you can unsubscribe. I know that may seem obvious, but like, you don't get the satisfaction of saying unsubscribed unless you've already subscribed. So you kind of have to do that one first. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.